Guys asked for it, the update on the 3-rotor. So basically we made a couple changes since the last video you guys saw, and we added a set of ITBs, or individual throttle bodies, for the semi-peripheral ports. I talked about how I was going to open those up. It was closed off before using a stock 20B lower intake manifold where it was covering up those peripheral ports. So now I've got the opened up peripheral port manifold and put the ITBs on it, as you can see. The gains by doing that are really strictly up top. You're not going to get too much down low, but it's worth it. We had it on the dyno last week and picked up 45 to the wheels, and on a 300 horsepower car, that's pretty sizable.
First RX7 I've been in, first 3-rotor I've ever even seen.
First RX7?
Yeah.
Oh man, a good one.
I know. It's very race car. I feel like I can feel everything, you know. I love that.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't have power steering, no power brakes, no windows.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's drivable.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not like over the top, I guess, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Good mix.
So at the flywheel, that puts us over 400. Really happy with that. Can't really ask much more of an NA rotary. They're gutless down low. So to make power, you got to really rev them. We're revving to just under 10,000 right now. I'd like to see 11,000 eventually, but I got to do a dry sump oil pump for that. So we'll be doing that next. So another update will come eventually, but for now, that's where we're at. Take a look under the hood now so you guys can get a better idea of what we're working with. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, this is a high compression 20B using 9.7:1 rotors, and it's lightning rotors. Everything's balanced and polished. It's a really high strung setup. It's ultra light, ultra high, ultra free revving. So basically a stock 20B, or a rotary engine for that matter, utilizes side ports, which are ports that are in the side plates or in the steel plates, and each of these runners kind of goes to one of those ports, and those are the factory configured ports. So by doing a peripheral port, you're adding a completely auxiliary port to the rotor housing alone, and that port has to enter directly through the periphery of the motor. So right here we have this hole that's been drilled in each of the rotor housings, and the intake manifold then incorporates a port or a runner for that extra port, and that's why there's an extra throttle body for those ports. A lot of people ask me why, so that's the answer. So you're still using your factory upper, which is feeding air to all of the side ports, or street ports as they call them, and then at a specific amount of throttle, the peripheral ports or semi-peripheral ports open up and these throttle bodies are activated. So that's a basic rundown of how that works.
It's different. So different. It sounds so insane, and it never like peaks in power. It just feels like it pulls and pulls and pulls.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah. Man. That's so cool.
Oh yeah.
She's feeling good. Yeah, she's happy now.
Volkswagen. So this is a very guilty pleasure of mine, scooters. It's not a moped. Don't call it a moped. It's a scooter. Mopeds have pedals, okay? But it is a very small engine. It's 2-stroke. They come 49 cc's. This is a very rare scooter in the US. You're not going to see many of these. This is a Yamaha Aerox. So do your homework on that one. It's a really interesting treat to have this here in the US. So in my typical fashion, I went ahead and just started doing everything to it. We've got the big brake, we've got the big bore, we've got the transmission upgrades, brake upgrades in the back front with suspension. Come around this way, you can see we got a nice pipe on it. So we've definitely stretched our wings on it a little bit. And stock, I got a dyno so I can tell you this. Stock, they put down about 2.5 to the wheel. This one is putting down about 18 to the wheel.
Ooh.
Not bad, right?
All right, all right.
So if that's not enough for you, you can come over to this one. And this scooter is my bad boy. So this one is a typical Chinese scooter, but it has the same engine as that, but it's been completely beefed up a little further.
It certainly looks like it, man. Jeez.
This is 70 cc's. Both of these are 70 cc's. They both started with a 2.5 horsepower to the wheel setup, but this one has a little extra something. So we got
special sauce in there.
Got a little bottle. Yep, we got some nitrous, and this is a 2-fast 70 cc with 2-fast pipe, 2-fast crank, all Italian stuff. Got the big reeds. Everything is done to my specs, all hand ported. This one on motor made 30 to the wheel.
Damn.
So with the spray, it's a little more.
That's impressive for something so small, man.
It's not bad. If you guys go back and check out the TRC video, I raced the Hellcat with this. We did a little 0 to 60. It was like a 0 to 80 run, but in the 0 to 60, I had him.
Hell yeah.
At about 80, he was coming by me. But I don't got much more than that. So,
yeah.
70 cc's can only get you so far.
That's wild, man. How did this come up? Like, how did you decide that you wanted to mess with some scooters?
I mean, I've always been into like scooters, you know, ever since I was a kid. Go-kart scooters, anything that you could drive without a freaking license was fun, right?
Absolutely.
Dirt bikes and things like that. So I started looking into it. I had the opportunity to get a scooter a few years back, I don't know, 10 years ago. I had the opportunity to get a cool looking scooter, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna ride it to work. I'm gonna have fun. I did. I got it. I rode it. The one that I got wasn't necessarily able to go too far with modifications and stuff. So I started looking into it to see just how deep that rabbit hole really was. And I started to see what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
There was a huge market for it. There was a huge following for it. And I fell into that hole, and I have not been able to get out.
That's crazy, man. I can, after I asked the question, it makes a little more sense. It's that typical car guy thing. You buy something and you start thinking, how far can I take this?
Exactly. You start modifying, and what's cool about scooters is everything you do is pretty cheap. I mean, relatively cheap.
Yeah.
If you're a car guy and you've spent your life savings on your car, you can appreciate having a cool scooter that doesn't cost your life savings. You know, a scooter like this might end up spending, you know, $5,000 or $6,000, which is a lot of money for any scooter. But a more run-of-the-mill scooter, you might be able to get into the $2,000 or $3,000. That won't even get you a blower for a car.
No way, yeah.
And I mean a full-built scooter, drag raceable. That's a challenge. I want to see some drag racing.
Here we go.
If you got a scooter and you want to drag race, come see me. Let's go drag race. I got a dyno, I got a drag strip, I got everything you need. Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
We've got 150 or 170 cc in this case. We've got 50 cc, or in this case 70 cc's. And then we got a little European flavor to go with it. This little setup of scooters is my guilty pleasure. I love messing with little engines. I think that they're just cool by nature. To get a lot of power out of a small motor is like I don't know, it's kind of like the holy grail of tuning. I know some people like to see 3,000 horsepower, and you can see that on this channel too, but right now you guys are gonna see itty bitty motors making a little bit of juice.